and welcome to Jurassic Reviews. With this channel, I'll be reviewing Jurassic Park figures from Kenner's original line all the way to Mattel's new lines. I'll be trying to stay in a certain order when I review these figures, but on occasion I might change it up and review something new or something you guys want me to review. I have most of the figures in Kenner's lines. The few that I don't have, I'll skip over and I'll come back to later if I acquire them. I've been collecting off and on since 1997 when I received a ton of Lost World Jurassic Park toys for Christmas. Throughout the years, I've been going to flea markets, yard sales, and browsing eBay constantly in search of these figures, and I've amassed a pretty large collection. I hope to review the majority of them. I'll be starting with the original Jurassic Park line by Kenner, and there's no better toy from that line to start with than the Tyrannosaurus Rex. And here is the T-Rex from the original line. It is the largest dinosaur from this line and probably one of the most well-known and sought after. It was originally released in 1993, but also had a re-release in 1994. Both releases came with collector's cards, which all figures from the first movie had, except for the vehicles and command compound. There was a difference, though, between the collector's card from the two different releases. Here's the card from the original release, and here's the one from the second. The second one is considered pretty rare, and I've seen them fetch high prices online. The only way to tell if you have an original release T-Rex or in the 1994 re-release is by the box, which I'll show you here. The one on the left is the original release, and the one on the right is the re-release. So really the main difference is just the way the window to the figure is cut out. One interesting thing about this figure is actually how it is presented on the boxes of other figures from this line, specifically the humans and smaller dinosaurs. If you look at the back of the boxes of those figures, you'll see an assortment of other figures to collect in the line, and you'll notice that the T-Rex is actually different from the one that we ended up with. The one pictured on these boxes is actually a maquette made by Stan Winston Studios, who did the practical special effects like the animatronic dinosaurs in the actual film. I'm not entirely sure why they used this maquette on these boxes, but I think I remember reading somewhere that the human and smaller dinosaurs were released earlier or were produced earlier, and at the time the T-Rex Kenner was working on was not finished, so they used the maquette as a stand-in just to let people know that there was a larger T-Rex toy on the way. I could be wrong there. Either way, it's really interesting. Despite the final or real T-Rex toy not being identical to this maquette, I think there's definitely some similarities or influence in the sculpt. Speaking of the sculpt, I think it's pretty fantastic. It stands about 10 inches tall and is 24 inches long from head to tail. Here it is next to a 4-inch human from the same line, as well as a 3 3/4 scale figure from Mattel's line. It's painted a dark reddish color with black spots along its back. It also has green paint along its throat, belly, and tail. The colors are not really movie accurate. The film version was more brownish, but I still think it looks awesome. Because of this red color, it's often referred to as the Red Rex by collectors. This figure, like a few of the other larger dinosaurs in the Series 1 line, would never be repainted in another line. In fact, this is the only Kenner T-Rex to not get a repaint. In terms of articulation, it does not really have much to speak of, just the arms are posable. It is, however, made of rubber, like the other larger dinosaurs in this line, so you can bend the head, open the jaws, and move the tail just a little. I would recommend being careful moving the head though. I see a lot of these with the neck broken. The interior plastic piece in the neck seems to be on the fragile side. If you're too rough with it, it'll break. The T-Rex also has some electronic features. It can roar if you press its side around the ribcage. This causes the jaw to open a bit, and you'll hear its roar. The roar sounds nothing like the T-Rex in the movie. In fact, it's actually quite pathetic. It's more like a screech. It also can make a stomping sound if you push its feet against the ground. The electronics in this figure are notorious for breaking easily. Many of them simply don't work anymore, or when turned on, the roar constantly repeats over and over. I somehow have 4 of these in my collection. The 3 open ones I got a long time ago, and the one in its box was a Christmas gift from my dad a few years ago. It was not actually the first T-Rex figure I got. That was actually the Lost World's Thrasher T-Rex. I actually ended up getting the Thrasher T-Rex because I was jealous that my friend who lived next door had this one, though I remember it was missing an arm. So I asked for my own T-Rex for Christmas, and I ended up getting the Thrasher with a bunch of other Lost World figures. So really, me wanting the Red Rex was part of the reason why I began collecting and fell in love with all things Jurassic Park to begin with. In terms of the rarity, it's actually quite common. Despite this though, prices can still be on the high side, especially if it's never been opened or in good working condition. It's a popular figure and it's sought after among collectors. These are not official numbers by any means, just my observations over the years on eBay and other marketplaces for collectors. But a loose Red Rex currently seems to go between $60 and $80. Unopened ones, depending on the condition of the box, can go well over $200 nowadays. Again, these are not official prices, you can always find them lower or higher. If I had to give a rating out of 10 for this figure, I would give it a 9. It's a classic toy, one that every Jurassic Park collector should own. Despite some of its flaws with the electronics and inaccurate paint, it still stands out as one of Kenner's best. Highly recommend picking this one up if you can. And that about wraps it up for the Red Rex. Thanks for watching this video. Feel free to subscribe if you want to watch me continue reviewing these figures. I'll try to have a new video every week. I'll go through both Series 1 and 2 of the original movie lines, and then I'll move on to the Lost World and so on. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.